It's great to have all of you here with us for our Township Committee meeting. As you can tell by the room, we have a pretty full agenda tonight. So we're gonna gavel the meeting in. We're gonna take care of some administrative things. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll move on to our first recognition of our All-Star softball All-Stars who are here with us tonight. So with that, I call to order this regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris. This Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, the time is now 7 p.m. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required by law. Specifically, notice of this meeting was emailed to the Daily Record and Morris Newsbee on January 5th, 2023, and posted to the Township of Morris website. The agenda and resolutions for the meeting are available on www.morristwp.com under the Agenda Center. Certain portions of this meeting may be closed to the public for the purpose of personnel and/or other matters, as outlined in the state's Sunshine Law. Notice to members of the governing body and township staff: any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purposes of the township business, and any communications are subject to the Open Public Records Act. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Grayzel.
Here.
Ms. Guariglia.
Here.
Mr. Ravitz.
Here.
Ms. Wilson. Here. Mayor Gyorfy.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the August 16th meeting. May I please have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so first we're going to be recognizing our All-Stars who are here with us tonight. For those who are new here, my name is Mark Gyorfy. I'm the mayor of Morris Township. In Morris Township, we have a township committee form of government, which is different than our other neighboring towns. And one of the differences here in Morris Township is that our mayor switches every year. The mayor is elected by the township committee, is not directly elected by the residents. So I have the privilege of serving as mayor this year, as I did last year. But we have other mayors on this dais with us tonight. Our former mayor, Grayzel, and former mayor, Kathy Wilson, are also here, and they still sit on the township committee. We also have Deputy Mayor Ravitz and Committee Woman Donna J. So I'm excited to be presenting some certificates to our local All-Stars. So I myself was a Morristown National Little League player when I grew up here in town. And it's such a privilege to be able to recognize Morristown National Softball's 10U and Junior All-Star teams for all the work and all the accomplishments that they've had over the summer that really made our community proud. If you've ever played Little League All-Stars, you know making it to the state tournament is one of the most coveted things you can achieve as an All-Star player during the summer. The players from both of these lineups worked hard, first in their regular seasons during the spring, and then on their summer squads. They won their local district tournaments, then advanced to play other district champions in sectionals. After making it through that, they both advanced through the state rounds and both became state champions. The 10-year-olds rallied with 2 runs in the last inning to defeat their opposing Swedesboro team to take this state championship, and the juniors won their state championship 5-0 against Toms River. All the players of both of these teams demonstrated tremendous discipline and perseverance during their summer seasons. Morris Township is incredibly proud of all of your hard work and accomplishments. We'd also like to thank the coaches and parents who made their success possible this summer and all the enjoyment possible. These are summer season that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. We recognize the coaches' countless hours they took to organize the teams, practice with them, and prepare them for prime time. So with that, I'm going to come up. First, I'll ask if any of the members of the governing body want to say a few words or congratulations to the teams. I'm going to go to the podium with the certificates.
I just said to a couple of the girls that I met when I first came in, not only congratulations, but cheers for having softball back in the Summer Olympics in 2028. So some of you sitting here may find yourselves again in red, white, and blue in 2028 in Los Angeles. Good luck.
I'd like to say also congratulations to all the young ladies out there. And I'm hoping that in about, I don't know, 10, 15 years, some of you will be right here.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the 10-year-old coaches to come up first, join me if possible. So Ken Winko, Vin Albanito, and Dave Kudak, come on up. I have certificates to thank you, all three of you, for your work in leading the girls to their victory. So Ken, thank you. I'll invite any of you, if you want to say a few words to the parents and members of the public who are here just about the season. And then I'll ask you to call the girls up to receive their certificates. And if they can all stay up here and take a photo with the governing body afterwards, that'd be great. All right.
Well, it was definitely an exciting season. Couldn't be more proud of this group of girls. They showed a lot of courage, determination, and resilience. And it really started back in January. Vinny led training through the winter. And then, if you can imagine, it went all the way from January through the beginning of August. So it was a really, really big commitment. They showed a very positive attitude throughout, and they were great teammates. So couldn't be more proud. It was a pleasure to coach them.
All right, then we are going to go right down the list here. So Julia Albanito. We have Ainsley Gerhard. Scarlett Gronville. Kyle Bauman. Victoria Hollis. Oh, thank you. All right, Mackenzie Booth. Caroline Hudak. Eleanor Kimball. Cameron Mills. Luella Santucci. Emma Walsh. And congratulations, girls. I'm very jealous because when I was playing for All-Stars in the National Little League, we did not make it to states. So I'm very jealous of that. You should be incredibly proud of all of your accomplishments. And you should also, now you set the goal for you. So you set precedent for you. So now next year, as 11-year-olds, you're going to have to try to make it to states and then go beyond that. But we're so proud of you. Morristown Township's proud of you. And we can't thank you enough for being here with us tonight to celebrate. Yeah, that'd be great. We can, if you cross move down a little bit. Good. It's good. Yeah, you wanted this. We'll figure it out. Oh, sure. Anthony, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Where's the camera? Where are we looking?
Middle.
Just look in the middle. 1, 2.
Thank you, everyone. All right, the junior coaches could come up to the podium. So on behalf of the governing body, we'd like to thank all the coaches for here with us tonight. I think I might have lost a certificate, but so Paul, Vinny, Rob, Paul, and TJ, thank you all for your hard work and dedication throughout the season, and Joseph Stavisky as well. We have some certificates for you, so we want to present them. Paul. All right, so now I'll invite the players up. We have Kate Armenti. Lena Flynn. Calista Carrington. Genevieve Hoover. Tiffany Wang. Ava Leo. Aaron Murphy. Asan Ochab. Ella Olivo. Caroline Powers. Kira Sapansky. Kira Sapansky. Madeline Stavisky.
So similar to what Ken said, the girls started training back in January and put all the effort in. It lasted through, most of them were on the same middle school team, first ever middle school county championship, and it led through the All-Stars. Couldn't be more proud of these girls. Effort, attitude, determination, undefeated. It was great.
I'll say I'm really proud of the coaches here. This is one of the best moments that I had. And also I want to thank you, Morristown National, for inviting the Morris Plains girls to come over to play, where we came together. So thank you.
And I'll just say the same thing. You set a precedent this year, so now you set the expectation and the bar for next year to just continue working hard, achieving great things. What's that? And make it to the World Series. So thank you all for being here. We'll ask the players to stay up for another photo with the governing body. And then once we're going to do that, we're going to take a brief recess and then we'll come back into our proclamations. I'll still answer.
Just look at the clock. Look at the clock.
Look at the clock. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for sending everything ahead of time. Let's meet you all. Township of Morris is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. The time is now 7:19 p.m. We're moving on to proclamations. We have 3 proclamations on this evening's agenda, but I'm going to call out of order and recognize proclamation authored by our Deputy Mayor Bucco Ravitz in support of the state of Israel against Hamas. Our community is, and I'll introduce you both shortly. Our community is heartbroken and troubled by the violent and disturbing lack of humanity that was demonstrated 2 weekends ago during the terrorist attacks in Israel, which inflicted so much pain and suffering on so many innocent people. No person, regardless of who they are or where they're from, should have to endure what those individuals had to that night or in the following day. No family should have to mourn for the loss of loved ones like their families do, or worry about the fate of their loved ones from whom were taken from them. We stand with the Jewish community here in our community, and we stand with our friends, our family, who are in Israel right now. No words said tonight can heal the pain that has been experienced in the Jewish community in the aftermath of these unprovoked attacks. But together here in Morris Township, we stand by with our family members, our friends, and our neighbors in the Jewish community, together as one community. Regardless of what our religious beliefs we hold, we stand here with you tonight. During this time of unimaginable tragedy and loss, we are here with you. And I'd also like to specifically recognize, I know Rabbi Herson mentioned to us that a number of his students have been called up to serve in Israel in the IDF. And I know that a lot of some other township residents have also been called up for duty. So we're here tonight to stand with you. These are extraordinary circumstances, but we want to make sure that Morris Township is doing as much as we can to support our neighbors. So I'll now turn it over to Deputy Mayor Bucco Ravitz, who authored this evening's proclamation, and Committeeman and former Mayor Jeffery R, who will be joining Mr. Ravitz for this evening's proclamation presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. And as I had said to some of the folks that were here, this was the hardest thing that I think I've ever had to do in my tenure here. But I would like to welcome everybody, the outpouring from the Jewish community here in the township and in the surrounding areas. It's heartfelt, and we My heart bleeds for all of us Jews, those here in America, because so many of us have families in Israel who are either affected by this in some way, either directly or indirectly. So again, welcome. I'm going to turn this over to, before I read the proclamation, to Committeeman Grayzel, who's going to formally welcome everybody here and recognize some of the folks.
Thank you. I'm so glad so many of you could join us tonight. I just want to recognize the people in the audience. I'll start with the front row. So we have Rabbi Satz representing Temple B'nai Or, and Rick Simon, who's the president of B'nai Or. We also have from Morristown Jewish Center, Rabbi Adam Gilman in the back there. Yes. Cantor Shana Onigman, our president, president of Morristown Jewish Center, Jason Onigman. And we also have Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi David Nesson with us, and Rabbi Amy Small. Representing the Rabbinical College, we have Rabbi Moshe Herson, the director, Rabbi Mendy Herson, the associate director. We also have Rabbi Ravitz, who runs Chabad of Morristown and Morris Township on Western Avenue, here with us tonight, so thank you. And we also have Rabbi David Levy, representing the American Jewish Committee of New Jersey with us. I also want to recognize Melissa Scioto, who's representing, I think, the Board of Education. I'm glad to see you out tonight, so thank you for joining us, and everybody else who's here as well. I know we have some other people from Rabbinical College, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And I'm going to turn it back to Deputy Mayor to read the proclamation.
Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey proclamation in support of the state of Israel against Hamas. Whereas the state of Israel is a long-standing friend and ally of the United States of America, and the people of Israel share a deep commitment to democracy, peace, and security. Whereas Israel has faced ongoing threats to its sovereignty, security, and the well-being of its citizens, particularly from terrorist organization Hamas, which has consistently launched attacks against Israelis, civilians and infrastructure. Whereas the people of Israel have endured relentless rocket attacks, terror tunnels, and other forms of aggression perpetrated by Hamas, endangering the lives and livelihoods of countless innocent Israeli and Palestinian civilians. Whereas on October 7th, 2023, Hamas unleashed thousands of rockets and infiltrated the state of Israel indiscriminately and brutally, killed over 1,400 innocent civilians in a most heinous manner, including over 260 at a music festival in a single day. Whereas Hamas took nearly 200 innocent civilian hostages, many of which were of international origin, back to Gaza to use as bargaining chips. Whereas Hamas has in its very charter and has stated clearly their intention to annihilate Israel and Israelis and replace Israel with an Islamic state. Whereas Israel desires peace, security, and regional stability through diplomatic efforts and agreements with neighboring nations, and has a legitimate right to defend itself and its citizens from acts of terrorism. Whereas Hamas has consistently used the Palestinian people as human shields and has brought nothing but misery and destruction since taking control of Gaza in 2007. Whereas the people of the Township of Morris value and stand in solidarity with Israel in its quest for security, peace, and the right to live in a safe and thriving environment. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Township of Morris, we express our unwavering support for the state of Israel and its legitimate right to defend itself against acts of terrorism and aggression perpetrated by Hamas. We condemn the indiscriminate rocket attacks, terror tunnels, and other forms of violence aimed at Israeli citizens and infrastructure by Hamas. We call upon the innocent people of Gaza to renounce Hamas renounce violence and terror, help secure and release all of the hostages, and recognize Israel's right to exist with secure borders so that all parties can work together toward peaceful coexistence. We stand in solidarity with the people of Israel and express our hope for a future where peace, security, and prosperity prevail for Israelis and Palestinians. This proclamation is hereby issued to show our support for the state of Israel against Hamas and to reaffirm our commitment to peace and security in the region. Amen. On a more personal note, my nephew lives in Kibbutz Erez, which is just north of the border with Gaza. His was one of the first kibbutzes that was overrun by the Islamic terrorists, Hamas. Fortunate for him, he was in Jerusalem observing Sukkot with friends, but his best friend was killed. His name was Amir Nair. He was killed guarding Kibbutz Erez, and I am terribly, terribly sorry for my nephew, and I feel for all the people. May their suffering come to an end.
Amen.
Now I'm going to add a couple of words to add as well. I also wanted to mention when I was naming all the people, I wanted to recognize Moshe Morgenstern, who lives on Lake Valley Road right here in Morris Township, and his son Ezzy, who has grew up here and has been a long-term resident of our town, who's now serving in the Army. So we have a local resident who's serving in the armed forces in the IDF in Israel. I just wanted to recognize Ezzy and wish him. For those of you who've been following, my tenure in Morris Township, I always try to keep my remarks about Morris Township, our beloved town. But I've been feeling great sadness the past 10 days since the terrorist attacks, and I felt I wanted to share my feelings with the entire community. Everything that has led up to this brutality can be the subject of a different forum, and none of us here are trying to ignore that here tonight. But there's much pain all over the region. The people of Gaza have been suffering greatly since 2007 under the oppressive Hamas regime. And I pray that when the violence subsides, that both Israeli representatives and Palestinian representatives and representatives from other countries in the region can come together to finally secure a lasting peace for all the peoples of the region. But at the moment, I do want to share my personal feelings with you, my neighbors. And I'm feeling pain on 3 levels. And I think it reflects the pain that a lot of Jews in our community are feeling and are feeling across the United States and across the world. Every Jewish person, including myself, is just 1 or 2 degrees away from a separation from someone who in Israel who has been killed or injured. And Israel is all of our extended family, and we grieve with our family members. As a Jew with relatives who survived the Holocaust, some of the atrocities committed by Hamas give me personally PTSD from the many truths that we all know about what the Nazis did. And there are so many people here in the United States who have relatives that perished or survived the Holocaust, but it brings us all great pain thinking back to those times. And as a human being, I stand in utter disbelief at the sheer evil that took place when one human being can behead an innocent baby or shoot dead a concert goer as they try to run away. I'm in shock as a human being at these atrocities. It's a hard time for all of humanity, but particularly for the Jewish people. And I want to urge our Jewish community members to speak up and share their feelings. When somebody asks you, how are you? You might consider replying not so well, but also give them an explanation as to why. And for my neighbors who are not Jewish, please know that your words can be comforting to your Jewish friends and neighbors at this time. Please let them know that you stand in solidarity with Israel. You might feel some pain, and you hope for peace as well in the region. It would mean a lot to those friends and neighbors to hear this from their neighbors and friends in this time of tragedy. I'm incredibly grateful to local leaders and officials who attended a vigil at Morristown's Youth Center a week ago. It's important that elected officials match their words with deeds, and it was comforting to have them pray with us for peace in Israel and the Middle East. Another one of those actions came tonight when this governing body approved this proclamation and it was read into the record. I am very, very proud of all my colleagues on the dais and the Township Committee for taking this action tonight. Thank you so much. As life goes on here in our safe and secure country, let us not forget that there are many people in fellow democracies around the world, including Ukraine and Israel, who live in constant fear for their lives these days. Please support them and their countries. Thank you again for coming out tonight. And I would like to invite a few rabbis up to receive a copy of the proclamation and take it back to your institutions. So if Rabbi Satz could come up, Rabbi Gilman come up, Rabbi Hershon come up, Rabbi David Levy come up from AJC. We'd like to present you a copy to bring back to your institutions. Maybe one or two there. Okay. Do you want, I think we should all come into a picture.
Yeah.
Why don't we stand this way? Come, yeah, why don't we, then some people can stand behind.
Okay.
And we can get the township seal in the background. Do you want to hold them open? So we can show. Yeah.
Yeah. Bucco.
Thank you. Rabbi, how are you?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
I'm sure I feel like I'm jumping in.
You're fine.
Got it, Tim?
Got it.
Thank you for coming.
Does anybody want, any of the rabbis want to say a word?
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Thank you so much. After what you said.
We'll take another 5
Thank you very
minutes.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rabbi, here's a bunch of stuff. There's a wire.
Yeah, thank you.
I got you. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Thank you very much. It's amazing. Very, very good. Thank you.
Just let us know if there's anything you need.
Yeah.
Gotta get another one.
That's for the microphone.
President of Hamas Israel. Yeah.
Okay, I call back to order the regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris. It's now 7:44 p.m. I thank you everyone who's joining us virtually on vacation with us here in the room. As we wait for some folks to clear out of the room, we're going to move on to the next portion of our agenda. We did have 2 other proclamations on this evening's agenda. Those proclamations are posted on our website and will be recognized outside of our meeting. So moving on now, the next thing on our agenda is our first public comment and inquiry period. We have members of the public here in person, as well as members joining us on Zoom. We have 8 participants joining us virtually. We'll take public comment in person first, and then we'll move on to our Zoom participants. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hands to indicate that you'd like to speak. All those public who speak, please state your name and address for the record. Please note the comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you'd like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back. May I please have a motion to open the first public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Senator Bucco, we're fortunate to have our local senator for the legislative district of 25, Senator Anthony Bucco, here with us this evening, who's going to be providing us an update on a joint effort between the township and his office and his personal advocacy on this for something that will be really good for our residents. So Senator Bucco, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to come and number one, say thank you for what you've been doing in support of Israel and the Jewish community. At the events that I've attended, your committee has been there, supportive, and I think it's very important that all of us stand united together. And tonight is just another example of that support that the committee has given, and I'm happy to see that. The second thing is I was approached by the mayor a while back about the school building that you have here in town. It was owned by the state, and the township's desire to purchase that building from the state. It has sat empty for a while. It's been vandalized over the years, and I was able to look into it because the state then put it up for sale, and they put it up for I think $850,000, and that's when the mayor said, "Hey, we'd really like to acquire this property. I think for a senior center and maybe some recreation and some other things. It's a great opportunity for the township." So I contacted the treasurer's office, and I got the appraisal reports. I took a look at them. I felt that the $800,000 number was way high, considering the condition of the property. And I'm happy to report tonight that I was able to get that down into the $500,000 range, which will save the township about $300,000. And that we were able to, right before the break after the budget, we were able to get it out of committee in the assembly. I called the speaker personally the night before our last voting session, and he put it up in the assembly. The bill passed the assembly. We got it out of committee in the Senate, but unfortunately, the Senate president shut our board list down right before we were able to get it on for a vote in the Senate. Now, he did tell me that he was willing to post it at our next voting session, which was supposed to occur right after the voting session, our last voting session. Unfortunately, we haven't gone back, but I anticipate that we will be back right after the election cycle. And I'll make sure that I follow up with him to get that bill posted, because in addition to the bill being voted on in the Senate, it has to also, it was just recently put out and voted on favorably at the $500,000 range by the State House Commission. So the only thing that stands in the way of you purchasing that property and it becoming township property, and you can begin the process of refurbishing and getting ready is a vote in the Senate. And I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get that done before the end of the year. So I wanted to come tonight to tell you where we were at and to make sure that you should start planning, so that you can, hopefully we can get this thing closed before December 31st. But I do think you're going to have the opportunity to have this building acquired, before the end of the year. So it's good news, and but I did want you to have an opportunity to start planning along those lines. And like I said, you'll save about $300,000, which can be put to use inside the building and making it acceptable for your use.
Thank you, Senator Bucco. for all of your efforts down in Trenton and assisting us with this project. As I'm sure you're well aware, but also members of the governing body, especially Kathy and Jeff too, for such a long time, Morris Township has been looking for an opportunity to have a senior center or a community center, to have a place designated for whether it's youth recreation or senior activities or just overall family activities. This is really, not to sound cliche, it's really a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to have an existing building that was served as a school. So we already have the bones there for us to build it out, to retrofit it for the use of our community. And those needs have always shifted. We know that they've shifted now, but we'll be able to put together a first-class facility with the state's help and with your help to get it done. It's something that so many of our residents have asked for a very long time. And I will say, personally, I'm so appreciative of all of your efforts. You've answered every phone call we've made to you. Your office has been incredibly quick to respond to our questions, and you cut through a lot of red tape for us down Trenton. I used to be a government worker too, and I worked with the federal government, and I know bureaucracy when I see one, and there are a lot of hoops to jump through to get something very simple to happen. And you and your staff did a tremendous job helping us get through this and help us get this across the finish line.
Mayor, it's my pleasure. It's great to see, us working together, getting the job done. I mean, that's what it's really all about, right? That's all the residents really want. They just want us to work together at all levels and make good things happen. And that's what we have here. And I'm proud to be part of it. So, and I'm so glad that you're going to have this facility for your residents.
Thank you for your hard work, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Yeah, so we'll have more information to share. I before this, when we were recognizing, we had a softball teams up here who won state championship, and I said they've set the precedent for next year to achieve at least the state championship and move beyond. So you set the precedent for getting us the building. Now we're going to be reaching out for state grants to help.
And I'm happy to help on that next step. And look, the only thing I would say to the folks, to everybody here, if you have an opportunity to put a letter together, maybe down to the Senate President, to let him know how important it is to you, you might want to do that, get it down to his office. But I certainly will be reaching out to him right after the election cycle is over.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for being here with us tonight. You're
Thank you.
very busy. You've been within the community a lot the last few weeks, so we appreciate your time. And then again, for our residents who are joining us online too, we'll be definitely sharing information with everyone as soon as we can on this very exciting announcement that we'll be able to make soon.
Thank you.
So,
Enjoy the evening, everybody.
Any other members of the public in person wish to speak? And then we will have a public comment for the zoning ordinance separately.
okay.
So I don't know if you want to wait for that. Okay, great. We'll have the public hearing for, yep. Okay. Any other members of the public in person wishing to speak? Any online on Zoom, please raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, may I please have a motion to close our first public comment period?
So
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to our next items of our agenda, we have 6 ordinances for public hearing and adoption on tonight's agenda. I will be recusing myself on ordinance number 23-23 that deals with zoning in Jones Woods, as I live within 200 feet of one of the properties being rezoned. So for that ordinance, I'll be asking Deputy Mayor Ravitz to take the motion and roll call for that. Madam Clerk, do you please read the title of the first ordinance into the record, and we will open the public hearing.
Ordinance 19-23, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris to control and regulate littering so as to protect public health, safety, and general welfare in the Township of Morris, County of Morris, State of New Jersey. Note: storm water management regulation requirements.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So for this ordinance, we'll take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. We'll do that consistently throughout the next 5 ordinances. If you're on Zoom again, raise your hand to indicate that you'd like to speak so we can turn your mic on for you. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 19-23, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any members of the public wishing to comment on ordinance 19-23? Seeing none, may I please have a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now may I please hear a motion to adopt ordinance 19-23, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion items? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Ms. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 19-23 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, if you please read the title of the second ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 20-23, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, amending chapter 577, massage and body works establishments. Note, amending health code for massage businesses regulations.
So again, we'll take the comments in person and then Zoom second. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 20-23?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any members of the public wishing to comment or ask the question? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And please have a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-23, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions from the committee? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Ms. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 20-23 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, if you please read the title of our next ordinance.
Ordinance 21-23, amending chapter 216-3 of the Code of the Township of Morris entitled Construction Codes Uniform Fees. Note, fee increase.
We'll take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance number 21-23?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, may I please have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. May I please now have a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-23?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions from the committee? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Ms. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 21-23 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the next ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 22-23, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris establishing an electric and/or natural gas aggregation program. Note, required for participation in energy aggregation program.
May I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 22-23?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, may I please have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll now ask a motion to adopt ordinance 22-23.
So moved.
Second, I'll second that. Any questions or
Yes.
discussion? Deputy Mayor for Public Outreach, Wilson.
Yes, I have a couple of comments I'd like to make on this ordinance. I am not a solid yes on this ordinance. I have some reservations about whether it's wise for us to go with Taurus Group as our consultant. Based on the information I have at present, which is incomplete and a concern in itself. My number one concern with Taurus Group is their apparent lack of experience doing the initial outreach to residents in towns such as ours that are coming on board with energy aggregation for the first time. I think that is the number one qualification we need right now. They also do not seem supportive of the renewable energy component, which is an important consideration for many of our residents. This ordinance says we may go with Taurus Group or any previously approved vendor. Because it says may and not will, my vote is, I'm willing to vote yes, but my support is lukewarm. Before any decision is made in the future, I think it's imperative for us to fill in the information gaps that presently exist regarding Taurus Group. Based on what I know right now, my inclination would be to go with the consulting group we originally approved when we passed our initiating ordinance in December 2022, Concord. In sum, I'm voting yes, but with reservations.
Any further comments? I would just like to provide the comments. I see this ordinance as providing our town with more flexibility as we look into energy aggregation. Like you stated, it does not commit us to this consultant group. But this is really about flexibility for the township. When the co-ops do go to auction, I see this as a benefit for us because we can choose which co-op is going to provide the best service for our residents. And you're absolutely right, communication is important to us. The sustainability options are also incredibly important to us, but also very important to us is the rate and the rate structure. And having options between not just one co-op, but two, to me is a net gain for us. And as discussed before, if the opportunity presented itself, we could pass an ordinance for a third consultant group to give us even more options. So I hear your concerns and they're absolutely merited, and let's learn more over the next few months. And again, this could be a bargaining chip if we're not satisfied with this group's communication skills or their standards for sustainability. We can try to negotiate, and if they don't reach what we want, then we can go to another firm and another co-op. But I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
With that, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia.
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 22-23 approved and adopted and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. I will now turn it over to Deputy Mayor Ravitz to manage ordinance number 23-23, as I must recuse myself since I live within 200 feet of the zoned properties.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance 2323 into the record, and then we'll open it up for public comment.
23-23, ordinance of the Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey, amending chapter 95, article 2, section 6, zoning map of the Township of Morris to redesignate several RH5 zoned properties to OS-GU in the codes of the Township of Morris. No township property, Jones Woods, open space preservation.
Thank you. We will take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. Anybody wishing to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to open the public hearing portion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Please state your name and address.
Dr. Lynn Siebert, 178 Hillcrest Avenue. I just wanted to thank all of the members of the Township Committee who have promoted this ordinance, writing it and introducing it, and now hopefully passing it. It is incredibly long awaited and much appreciated. Just for perspective, for those of you who don't know, I recall and go back to 1979 when this land was first looked at as a possibility for development. In 1981, it was sold. In 1984, it was rezoned to be as acceptable for Mount Laurel housing. And then there was a 14-year battle until 1995 when finally, unfortunately, the township opted to buy the 38 acres. I've been involved with this since the very beginning. My hair was not white at the time. My children were very young. They are now parents and have teenage grandchildren, carrying on the fight for proper development and sensitivity to environmental critical lands. And just so that you know, it's been like a sort of Damocles, certainly since you purchased the land in 1995, to have this in a flux as far as its zoning, and to finally see it get resolved as OSGU and hopefully then added to the Rossi, I finally will be able to sleep at night. And there are many people with whom I've stayed in touch all the years who have moved away or unfortunately in some cases passed away, but the ones who've moved away have been very, very concerned about the fate of Jones Woods. And as you know, since the pandemic, the true value of this gem has been revealed to the community. People are there every day, walking, taking their children out, monitoring. There's so much joy and delight that comes from having this beautiful woodland. And I really want to thank the township for stepping up. They put in that bridge over to the rim trail around the reservoir. And of course to Rick By, who's seated over there, who has worked so tirelessly with Parks and Recreation to blaze and maintain trails and to really make it a true gem and a special refuge for people to just restore themselves at times like a pandemic when people's spirits really need all the help that they can get. So thank you for finally getting rid of the sword of Damocles and for moving ahead to preserve this fully once and for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rick By, 2 Edge Hill Avenue. I would, add to Lynn's thanks to all of you for pushing this, getting it through and getting it to the finish line to vote. But I would especially like to thank Bill Folsch and Tim Henfeld and the Parks and Recreation Department for their efforts in recent years. Lynn mentioned the bridge over there. Very fortuitous development that was completed, I think, in December of 2019, just before every other place around here shut down. It provided access for a lot of people to Jones Woods at that time and to discover it, and be able to appreciate the hidden gem, we call it, that it is. So again, thank you again for getting this through, and it's been in the push to get it rezoned as OSGU has been in the master plan since the 2000 master plan, and it's been kind of a long and tortuous path and confusing path between then and now, and just appreciate everything that everyone has done to do this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. In Morris Township, we take great pride in the fact that so much of our community is preserved as open space. We say that 27% of our town is open space, and I'm going to ask Mr. Quinn if these lands are included in that 27%, or are we adding to that figure? Are these in addition to the existing preserved open spaces, or are these new preserved open spaces?
This will be reserved, it's going to open space, and then eventually 2 of the acres are already on the lawsuit, 1 more is going out to the lawsuit.
Very good.
Bigger part lots on the lawsuit.
Okay, very good. So we are continuing to add to the open spaces in our community. I'm a big believer that other towns don't believe in this, but I believe that open space actually drives property values. People like to move to communities where there's more open space, not communities that are overdeveloped. And we work hard on this governing body to do the best we can to preserve the remaining open spaces in our town and put in control the development and only put it where it's appropriate. So thank you, Lynn, for all your work over the years to help us get to this point. And thank you to the governing body for doing this.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public.
Deputy Mayor Ravitz, you have someone on
Oh, I'm sorry. We go to Zoom.
Yeah.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Marlene Member, 63 Independence Way. Hello?
Good.
Am I on?
Yes, go ahead, Marlene.
Okay, thank you. In regards to this ordinance, I just wanted a clarification of what the initials ROSI stand for.
It's a state acronym for the ROSI, which is the Registry of Open Space Inventory.
And what does that mean?
that we're gonna preserve the property in perpetuity. In perpetuity.
Perpetuity. Okay, thank you. Mr. Quinn, last month when you went through this, there was a comment that you made to a gentleman that spoke about this. I believe his name was Chris. I didn't catch his last name. But in order to preserve this type of land, there is something else involved here that we need to designate other land for other uses and not open space. Did I hear that correctly, or?
To get it all, get to place it with 523
Right now, two of the pieces of property are already on the registry of open space. One is not. This is going to add to it. Maybe we were saying if you were trying to remove this property from the registry of open space inventory, in order to do so, you would have to get permission from the State House Commission, but it would also require you to replace that open space with 4 to 5 times as much property to do so.
Okay, so this is how we stand with this particular ordinance on this property, or no?
I am sorry, I don't understand your question.
Well, are we going to need to replace, we're preserving it, which is great. We're preserving the open space and everything. But would we need to replace it with other development somewhere else?
No, ma'am.
No, okay, very good. Thank you very much. That was the question.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on Zoom? Seeing none, then will someone make a motion to close the public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have a motion to, an aye. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 23-23?
So moved. Second.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Ms. Guariglia.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Mayor's recused.
I, Deputy Mayor Ravitz, declare ordinance number 2323 approved and adopted, and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Back to you, Mayor.
We'll now move on to our last ordinance. Madam Clerk, will you please read the last ordinance to the record for us?
Ordinance 24-23, ordinance amending ordinance number 12-22, finally adopted on May 18, 2022, in order to revise the description of the improvements referred to therein and the appropriation provided therefor. No redistribution of funds in the sewer utility.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance number 24-23?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any member of the public in person or online wish to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I please now have a motion to adopt 24-23?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia.
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes, I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 24-23 approved and adopted, and direct the township clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Moving on to ordinances for introduction. We have one ordinance for introduction on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title of this first ordinance.
Ordinance 25-23. Ordinance appropriating $32,000 available in general capital fund balance to provide for the removal of an underground storage tank for the township of Morris. Note, additional funds required for underground storage tank removal project.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just to clarify, this is for the police headquarters fuel tank, correct? Just for the public to know.
Yes, sir, that is for the project to remove that underground storage tank and we'll be replacing with an above ground storage tank.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. And it is our hope that we'll be using less and less fuel from that tank with more and more hybrids in the police interceptors that we're purchasing for the police department when they are available. So with that, may I please have a motion to introduce ordinance number 25-23?
So moved. Second.
Any questions from the committee? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 25-23 will be held at the next regular township committee meeting on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Please note that November 8th is the second week of November. Our monthly meetings are usually the third week of November or third week of the month, but in November it is the second week due to the League of Municipalities Convention. Resolutions on tonight's agenda. We have 14 resolutions. May I please have a motion to approve resolution numbers 231-23 through 244-23 by one motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. We have 2 items on our consent calendar this evening. May I please have a motion to approve these items?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consideration of monthly reports. We have received reports this month for August 2023 from the police and fire departments, as well as the joint municipal library. And we have reports from September 2023 from the tax department and joint court. May I please have a motion to approve these monthly reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Claims for payment, our list of bills and vouchers. The total amount of bills and vouchers for this evening are $11,438,858.71. As a reminder to members of the public, we are not only the tax collector for the Township of Morris, but also for the school district, the library, and the county of Morris. May I please have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. We are now at our standing committee reports and general commentary from the Township Committee. And I will first recognize Committeewoman Donna J.
Thank you, Mayor. The Transportation Advisory Committee, we're nearing the end of our Morris Township in motion. I would like to publicly thank our TAC members, Chair Jim Hunt, David Chernow, Rick By, Christina Ruggieri, David Wilson, Stephen Drozdow, Neil Elfson, and Andrew Feldman for their great efforts in supporting this program. We're going to finish it up with our Morris Township in motion for kids with our bike rodeo for 5 and 10-year-olds on October 21st from 2 to 4 at the Common Station parking lot. We know the weather is not looking good, but we're really hoping that we can get that done. If not, the rain date is on Sunday, same time, same place.
Can you just move your mic closer?
Oh. Sorry. Brian Morgan also attended from the Environmental Commission, the TAC meeting, and he came and gave us an update on the Environmental Commission progress. And we discussed how our advisory boards can continue to collaborate. The Complete Streets policy and work on producing a mapping guide continue to move along. On the Economic Development Advisory Board Committee, the recommendations made by EDAC on the Madison Avenue corridor will be reviewed by a subcommittee put together by the planning board, and we will continue forward progress on what the plans will entail. Continued improvement along the corridor will be ongoing. EDAC will now look to determine the next business areas to concentrate on and discuss recommendations for improvement. We are also aware of the impacts we're hearing about the possible Atlantic Health expansion proposal that it may have for us in the township as well, especially regarding traffic. But we recognize that this is in the very early stages, and we will follow information Morristown presents on the expansion plan. At the marketplace, Cambridge Wines is looking to open mid-November with a grand opening in January. Owner David Burnett is looking forward to working with our community as a small business owner with an intentional effort towards community engagement with their customers and the other marketplace business owners. EDAC continues our work on marketing and communication materials, and we should have something to share in the new year. I just want to mention quickly, on the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, I serve in an advisory role, but I want to let everyone know how impressed I was with the 50 seniors who came out to join the focus groups to address the needs of our senior residents. Deputy Mayor of Public Outreach, Kathy Wilson, will provide more detail, but I wanted to comment that the volunteer Morris Township residents truly step up when asked for their feedback. This is such an important part of the relationship between the governing body and our residents. From our 12-year-olds that we heard from early last summer to our most senior residents, Morris Township has a good relationship and provides for open dialogue to clearly get the feedback needed to address the very decisions we are called upon to make. As far as my comments, I want to quickly congratulate Mayor Gyorfy on receiving the Millennials for New Jersey's Millennial Mentorship Award earlier this month. And we thank him for helping to empower the next generation of leaders in New Jersey. Since October 7th, we have all been reeling from the horrible attacks on Israel by Hamas. I stand in support of our Jewish community, and we are committed to your safety and protection here in the township. We continue to pray for the families who lost loved ones and for those missing, and we hope for their safe return. At the local vigils this past week, parents had tears in their eyes as they welcomed the support of so many friends and neighbors standing in solidarity with them. As a mother and a grandmother, to witness children caught in the middle of such a tragic, senseless fight is terrifying. Children everywhere in the world should never be exposed to the hatred and evil war brings. Hold your children close, and as hard as it is, find a way to have hope. We see hope in its purest form in our children. We saw it here tonight, honoring our 10U and junior softball champions. With Halloween upon us and many other holidays to follow, children need to continue having those celebrations that instill in them laughter and happiness, being creative and silly, and dreaming of all the big ideas they believe will come true. Last week, I saw families at the kids' night at the firehouses filled with excitement to spray the water hose or climb up on the fire engine, and more importantly, looking up to our firefighters, men and women, wondering if that could be them one day. Maybe even one of them will go on to be a firefighter and the local mayor. Always have hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeewoman Guariglia. Committeewoman Grayzel.
I love,
Try one out that.
I love Committeewoman Guariglia for being so aspirational tonight. And urging our young women in this town to reach high and possibly be on the softball team representing the United States in 2028 and one day become mayor. So there you go. In her report from TAC, she forgot to mention that yours truly is going to be representing the Township Committee at the event on my bicycle. I believe I am designated to run the obstacle course first. So I hope I'll do well compared to the 5 to 10-year-olds that will be competing. We'll see. We'll see, but I look forward to it, and I do hope that the weather cooperates. On my other standing committee reports, I will report from engineering that the Walnut Street reconstruction has begun, and we're very proud of that. That tags along with the upcoming reconstruction of the park itself, but we're happy to get that street done and make improvements to the Collinsville neighborhood. Sewer Standing Committee, our big clarifier, a very important project that's going on at Woodland is continuing, and equipment is coming in, so that is moving along. And that concludes my standing committee reports. In terms of personal remarks, speaking about Israel, earlier tonight, Mayor Gyorfy had mentioned that several students in the Rabbinical College who had passed through were serving in the Israel Defense Forces right now, the Israeli Army. And I mentioned Ezzy Morgenstern, who's the township resident, a long-term township resident who's serving. I was informed afterwards that Yitzi Perret, who lives on Sussex Avenue, along for a long time, he was a teammate of my son in Little League, and he's only 20 years old, and he's on the front lines in Gaza, I'm told, with the Israeli Defense Forces. So we have 2 Morris Township residents, dual U.S. Israeli citizens, Morris Township residents who are fighting in the Israeli army. So I wanted to recognize both of them. I also wanted to restate my thanks to this governing body for standing up for the state of Israel. We promote in Morris Township how we're all there for each other. It's really important to have a strong community. It's one of the things that makes, I think, our town really great is we stand up for each other. We're there for each other. We support each other like we did earlier tonight with the girls and softball, in good times and in bad. And I'm very proud of all of you for standing up for Israel and like I said, matching your words with the deed that I think is very important for elected officials to do. My other things that I wanted to touch on, now I am now forgetting. Yes. So I think I will just close by wishing everybody a good upcoming Halloween. It's always festive in our town. We have a lot of events that I'm sure one of you will be speaking about. But please come out and enjoy it. It's a great town we live in, and please participate in all these events. Thanks.
Thank you, Commitment Grayzel. If you remember what it was, we can go back to you. Deputy Mayor of Public Outreach, Kathy Wilson.
Thank you. Last Tuesday, our seniors committee, as Donna was saying, held our long-awaited focus group event, which we've been planning for all year. We were really happy with the turnout and the results. The centerpiece of the event was the opportunity for it was actually 41 participants who joined us to engage in small group discussions that centered on clarifying seniors' needs and suggesting ways to address those needs. This is a really different way of providing input than filling out a written survey. As with EDAC's small group discussion last year, they had an event, we got very positive feedback from participants. They really felt like their input was welcome and heard, and it was. The top concern in all 5 groups was the need for better communication. We got tons of ideas for addressing that need and tons of ideas on other topics as well, including transportation, ways to meet seniors' needs by putting them in touch with various individuals and groups, including volunteers, students, neighborhood associations, the library, the museum, and seniors groups in other towns. We also got a lot of topic ideas for presentations and training opportunities, among many other suggestions. We are working on writing a report that will combine the findings of the survey and the focus groups and will include recommendations for the Township Committee to consider and hopefully approve. I'm confident there are many low cost and no cost recommendations that will come out of this report, and I can imagine it becoming a basis for the work of our Seniors Committee next year. On the environment, as always, our Environmental Commission has many irons in the fire. The ones I'd like to highlight tonight all exemplify what I have jokingly nicknamed cross-pollination, which means working together across groups like organizations and towns, which so often work in silo, like in isolation from each other. The first has to do with our environmental commission's interactions with the schools in our community. One of our EC members, Jen Karsich, is leading a food waste poster contest that will be shared with every school in the town and the township. Our EC chair, Brian Morgan, has met with Dr. Ann Mucci, the superintendent of Morris School District, who's very interested in coordinating with our EC, not only on the food waste poster initiative, but also on a variety of activities connected to Arbor Day and Earth Day, as well as our Avoid Invasives Plant Natives initiative. Many exciting possibilities here for collaboration between us, the township, and the schools in our community. The Fall Festival provided an unexpected opening for collaboration across our advisory committees. the chair of our transportation committee stopped by the environmental commission's booth, met the chair. They had not met before. They got talking. They discovered they have a lot of overlap on their two committees. And that's where the idea for the chair of the EC to attend a TAC meeting came up. And there's also discussion about having someone from TAC join or attend EC meetings. So the door is now open for these two committees to work together. And I've been advocating that for a long time. In my opinion, it is a really great step forward for everybody. So I'd like to encourage considering making an official liaison position. We do have that for some of our committees, and I think that should be considered in the future. I'd also like to see perhaps a school liaison. Perhaps EC wants to do that, or perhaps the seniors committee. I think that would be worth considering. On another front, our partnership with the Great Swamp continues to flourish. At last week's meeting, we had a representative from the Great Swamp, Sandra Levine. She's their water quality specialist, and she gave a really informative presentation about the Great Swamp's concerns with water quality and the Lewanika Brook. One point that stood out to me was that the contamination they're concerned about is greater at the headwaters of the brook, which begins at Parsons Village and flows right here past Woodland School. This is the opposite of a typical pattern where the contamination intensifies downstream. I think Mr. Ravitz was pretty taken by this presentation. It does flow right here, near where you live, near where we are right now. The Great Swamp is planning to take steps to address this situation. They're planning to apply for a large federal grant, first to do a preliminary study, and then to develop and implement plans to remediate the situation. The cleanup will be a long-term project, 5 to 10 years. The Great Swamp plans to handle everything. The only thing they'll eventually need from us and Morristown is sign off signifying our approval of their grant application. For my general comments, I'd like to say thanks to Carolyn McLean for her service to our Environmental Commission. If the demands of her schedule ever lessen in the future, we would gladly welcome her back. In the meantime, she will be missed. A couple of comments on developments regarding efforts to preserve the Drew Forest. I was honored at last Thursday's meeting of the Morris County Open Space Committee to voice Morris Township's support for preserving the Drew Forest through a conservation purchase. The room was packed. The energy of support for preservation was palatable. After just 15 minutes of public comment, the committee adjourned for a closed session. The expectation among many is there is support on this committee for conservation funding. The unanswered question is whether agreement can be reached on the price. The county commissioners are the final decision makers on whether funding will be allocated, and if so, how much. They are expected to announce their decision at their meeting on November 8th. Madison greatly appreciated our support as a neighboring municipality. As I mentioned at the meeting, clearly this site raises environmental and development concerns that connect us and underscore the need for regional cooperation across municipalities. I know we're all hoping that a conservation agreement can be reached. Clearly, that's the best way to accomplish a win-win solution for all. One other topic I want to mention briefly, with the fourth round of affordable housing obligations set to begin on July 1st, 2025, I'd like to highlight the work of a housing policy committee that's recently been established under the auspices of the League of Municipalities. I attended a meeting of this committee last Friday. The one thing everyone agrees to is there are tons of problems with the way affordable housing is currently handled in our state. Solutions are another matter. The purpose of this committee is to explore problems and recommend constructive solutions for addressing them. This is a big job. This committee is in the process of gathering input from elected officials and professionals from across the state. Their goal is to be constructive and proactive, not reactive, in identifying practical, concrete proposals to correct problems with how the current system works. I plan to monitor the work of this committee closely as the Mount Laurel affordable housing decision is a topic I've been very interested in for a long time and plan to do some writing on this in the future. I'll continue to keep everybody posted, and if any of us would like to join one of the input meetings of this committee, I'm sure you're welcome to do so. I want to say a couple of words about our proclamation in support of Israel. The events of October 7th were unspeakably horrific, truly barbaric. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Israel, in the US, in our own community, and anywhere who had family or friends who were killed or wounded in this horrible attack. I can't stop thinking about the 200 hostages who continue to be held there. It haunts me to think what they must be going through. I pray about this situation every day. I pray for guidance for the leaders who are making the decisions about how to handle this. I pray for comfort for those who are suffering and in pain from this horrible situation. I pray for the end of hate and violence that's fueling what's going on now and bringing so much suffering to so many. I thank Mr. Ravitz for taking the lead in writing our proclamation, and I thank Mr. Grayzel for expressing so well the feelings of pain this situation is creating for him. I was moved by that. So my thoughts and prayers for guidance and comfort are with all of us. And finally, I didn't realize you got a Millennials Award. Congratulations. Hopefully someone can tell me about it at some point. I'm really glad we passed the Jones Woods ordinance. That has been around forever. It's been a source of endless back and forth questions, and I'm so glad that we're not quite on the Rossi yet, but we're almost there. And so the Rossi is the next step. And like Mr. Grayzel, I'm probably forgetting something, but anyway, that's all I've got for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. It's been a very busy month in the past few months, so I don't blame you for forgetting things. There's been a lot of good work going on behind the scenes, so let's
The one other thing I wanted to mention, the school purchase is phenomenal. That'll be so important to our community. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. And it's not done until it's voted on and signed by the governor after the Senate passes it.
A letter.
So let's keep our fingers crossed and we'll celebrate when it's done. Right. Deputy Mayor Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor, and also congratulations on being recognized by the young millennials. Congratulations, of course, to all the young ladies out there. That is, my daughter was in youth soccer, and I know what it's like to be a proud dad of a champion. So kudos to all of them. And good evening to everybody that's still in attendance and anybody that might be online. And thank you for your participation in our local government. National politics gets all the spotlight, but it's typically what we do here locally that has the biggest impact on our economic and quality of life. Let me just start with our standing committees. Typically, I haven't really spoken about this, but I feel that there's a need to speak about the hard work of the Cannabis Advisory Board, which is under the excellent leadership of Mayor Gyorfy. The advisory board is just like any other advisory board in the township. It's comprised of the mayor and me, along with township professionals, members of the planning board and board of adjustments, and residents from different parts of the community. And over the course of the last 5 meetings, experts have provided their opinions on a wide range of topics regarding the cannabis industry in New Jersey, including safety and security for our community, financial benefits and implications, and of course, legal issues. But there's so much more, and I think that Mayor Gyorfy might be talking to me about that in a little bit. All our meetings are recorded and are available for the public to review. The questions asked by the advisory board members have been both thoughtful and pointed, and I really appreciate the excellent and robust dialogue we've had thus far. After the public commentary session, which is going to be taking place on November 1st, Mayor Gyorfy, with the help of all the other committee board members, will write a summarizing findings report and deliver it to the Township Committee, which, as I think he as indicated, will be before the end of the year. Any decision to remain opted out or to opt in on one or more license types will be undertaken by the governing body next year. Moving on to Parks and Rec. Check out the Township's newest basketball court located at Ginty, across from police headquarters. It's a really beautiful, full-size basketball court. And please visit the Parks and Rec's websites for all the latest events and activities for all the people of all ages. Committeewoman Guariglia did mention the bike safety rodeo, which is taking place on Saturday, hopefully not in the rain. We do have trunk or treat, which I think, well, my now invisible colleague, Jeff, had talked about. It's going to be on Saturday, August 28th, and trunk or treat starts at 3 p.m. The featured film will be Scooby-Doo, which will begin at dusk, and that'll be right next to Dwyer Lane. For those people, residents looking to give out candy, you must register, and no homemade goods are allowed. It'll be a real fun time, and I believe there's going to be a bonfire at the end. Regarding the Fire Standing Committee, as Committeewoman Guariglia had mentioned, I want to thank Lieutenant Bizup and Chief Nunn and the entire Morris Township Fire Department for putting together two very successful kids' nights out at the firehouse events. The first was at the Fairchild Firehouse, and the other was at Woodland Firehouse. And also thanks to the county EMS officials for providing their support with equipment and personnel for the events. And now moving on to my public commentary. I want to acknowledge and express my deepest regrets at the loss of so many innocent lives on both sides of the conflict in the Middle East. Innocent civilians do not deserve what is inflicted upon them by either terrorists or in retaliation of terrorist acts, most barbarous. As I mentioned, my nephew was on Kibbutz Erez. Thankfully, he was not there at the time of the massacre, but I did want to mention that he does work for the Israeli Defense Force. To quote the late great Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir, peace will come when the Arabs who will love their children more than they hate us. She also stated that when peace comes, we will perhaps in time be able to forgive the Arabs for killing our sons, but it will be harder for us to forgive them for having forced us to kill their sons. Major historical events are happening at breakneck speeds, both domestic and foreign. Social media is awash in false and misleading information. Please, I urge all who hear my voice or read my words to question what we see and read on social media. The truth will always come out, but sometimes the truth has to wait for the evidence to catch up. Don't accept as truth what you want to believe is true. Social media is not a substitute for professional and responsible journalism. American shuttle diplomacy is paying off. A humanitarian corridor is going to be opening up to give relief to suffering civilians. All human beings should be able to live with dignity and purpose. We, the Western-style democracies, must continue to lead by example. Don't let those who don't have your best interests at heart guide your thoughts. Ignorance leads to fear. There are a lot of bad people out there who don't need much of a spark to take action. There are lots more people out there who are trying to make the world a better place. Be one of them. Democracies don't start wars. Wars are destabilizing and they're bad for business. Wars are started by autocracies, dictators, and theocracies because they're inherently selfish. Moving on. I cannot stress enough the importance of voting, as it is one of the most fundamental rights and civic duties as American citizens. Americans throughout our history have fought at home and abroad to defend our rights and our democracy. Let's honor their service to the American ideal by exercising our right to vote and have our voices heard. Here are some of the important dates remaining for the 23 election. Those requesting vote by mail ballots have already received them. It's always best to return your ballot as soon as possible so it doesn't get misplaced or forgotten. Sample ballots can be mailed on October 25th. Early in-person voting begins on October 28th and ends on November 4 and can be done at the Morristown Municipal Building. The deadline to apply for a vote by mail ballot is October 31st, and you can return your vote by mail ballot via the U.S. mail or by utilizing the drop box located here at our municipal building. And of course, election day is November 7th. And as always, I'd like to end my commentary with this. Let's not marginalize or demonize people who have less political or economic power than some of us currently enjoy. Rather, let's face up to and stand up to those who continue to profit from our division. Equal rights for all citizens does not diminish the rights of any other citizen. We have more in common than should ever divide us, which we will rediscover by talking to each other. Amplifying misinformation, hateful, or violent rhetoric is not part of any civil society. And lastly, let's remember that as we go about our business each day to just be kind to ourselves and kind to others, because kindness ripples. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ravitz. I will start with my standing committee reports. So as Deputy Mayor Ravitz mentioned, I'm the chair of the Cannabis Advisory Board, which was established by the Township Committee earlier this year to analyze the implementation of cannabis opt-ins throughout the state of New Jersey, study it in a thorough manner, and advise the governing body on whether Morris Township should remain opted out. I do want to take a step back as a reminder for residents. Back in 2021, when cannabis was legalized in the state of New Jersey, the Township Committee opted out of all classes of sale and cultivation of cannabis because it gave us the most flexibility to determine which classes we would want to opt in the future should we deem it necessary. So after 2 years, we think it's important to analyze the implementations across the state, see what has worked, see what has not, and see if it really makes sense for the township from an economic or a zoning perspective. So we've had, I believe, let me count, 1, 2. We've had 5 meetings thus far on the Cannabis Advisory Committee starting back in August. We've heard from our professionals, legal experts, our police chief, and we've also heard from members of the cannabis industry. We've heard from attorneys who've represented clients in towns throughout the state. We've heard from attorneys who've represented clients in Morristown when they did their process. And we're really being able to allow our board members to do as much homework as possible to provide as much due diligence for the Township Committee to read about later on this year. So no formal actions can be taken by this group. It's an advisory committee made up of 5 residents, along with Deputy Mayor Ravitz and I, and our professionals. We have our municipal attorney on this committee, along with our township planner, our planning board attorney, our engineer, our township administrator, and our police chief. So we're really just trying to study everything and make sure we give the governing body the resources they need to determine if remaining opted out is in the best interest of Morris Township. We had a really good meeting last night here in Town Hall. We had some great speakers. And we will be having our public portion here November 1st in the committee room here at 6:30 p.m. where we'll welcome comments from the public on their thoughts. And then the committee or the board will deliberate. We'll talk about what we think the pros and cons are. We'll talk about any of the other discussions that have come up in our previous meetings. And then, I have the job of writing the report. So we have a lot of testimony to summarize. We have a lot of thoughts to share with the governing body. And hopefully I will have that done before the holidays, but we will see. So the deadline is the end of the year, and then the governing body will provide that, and the public will obviously have an opportunity to read that report. For the Parks and Rec Standing Committee, Deputy Mayor Ravitz pretty much covered everything. I did just want to note we all have the pleasure of being at Milton Gold Band Field at Frelinghuysen Park on Columbia Road this past weekend, which was fantastic. For those who don't know Milton Gold Band, he donated 35 years of his life to youth athletics in the Morristown area, from baseball to basketball. He had some of his players go on to become professional athletes. And it was such a nice thing to be able to dedicate a Babe Ruth Field to him and in his honor. I did also want to comment on Jones Woods. I had to recuse myself, and I will not speak about the ordinance, but I will just say this. The BPA has spent decades advocating for this change, and I think it's rightfully deserved that something is happening, and that the neighborhood and the whole community can have the assurance that this protected woodland is in fact protected for decades and decades to come. We've had the opportunity to hear from the BPA and other environmental experts to talk about how much of a gem it really is. And it's so nice to have Dr. Siebert here and Rick By, who has done so much work on the trails, donating their time to protect this for people. The huge influx of people have come since COVID to enjoy this, and no idea was there. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it brings joy to the community, and it really does. So thank you for all your efforts and determination over the past decades to get us to where we are today. And I'm looking forward to it going on the State Rossi and making sure it's there for, and as Mr. Quinn said, in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Mr. Ravitz noted that the Walnut Street, or actually Mr. Grayzel noted Walnut Street construction has started. I drive past Walnut every morning when I go to the Y, and I always look to see if the equipment is there, and I get disappointed when it's not, but I can say the equipment was there this morning. So I know if work has not started today, it is starting very soon, and it's been long overdue. So we're excited to see that project moving forward. With that, with Collinsville, last meeting I talked about us still interacting with the Department of Housing and Urban Development to get our federal funds released and to allow us to start the project. The good news is that HUD is actually responding to us now, which is a good thing. So hopefully we'll be able to get that funding approved so we can move forward with the bid, which is very exciting. So fingers crossed there, but there is movement there, which is good. Just moving on to general commentary, I just wanted to commend Deputy Mayor Ravitz for your proclamation and for your presentation, which I thought was very well done, along with Committeeman Grayzel. I provided comments on everything earlier, but I have to say, it's just been, the past week has been very intense for so many in our community. And it's just, you know, there's so much sadness and grief, but I think having been with almost everyone here at the Jewish Center and at Temple B'nai Or recently, I think that sense of community is something that's really bringing people up, and it's been a privilege to be a part of that. And it's been really an eye-opening experience too. But it just really goes to show how good of a community we live in. So thank you for your leadership on that, and Mr. Grayzel, and thank you for the whole governing body for showing up to all the services that we've been invited to and seeing our friends and neighbors who were there with us. Lastly, I just wanted to remind folks, November 1st is our annual Veterans Day service. So we will be here at the Municipal Building on Saturday. As the new tradition is, if you want to wake up early, you can join us in laying wreaths at all the veteran memorials with our Veterans Association, starting at 7:45 in the morning. Our service here starts at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. here at Town Hall before we get to the Green. We will be having a special dedication this year for the Hometown Heroes banners that are now printed actually and ready for pickup. So we're very excited to display banners recognizing 40 veterans from throughout the township that will be going out on our public lampposts for display, and we're going to do a special dedication for all those folks who are being honored, which is fantastic. So with that, I will turn it over to our last item on the agenda, which is our public comment and inquiry, second portion. Currently, we have 6 members of the public joining us virtually. If you'd like to speak, please raise your digital hand, and if you're in person, please feel free to come up to the podium. May I please have a motion to open the second public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Seeing no one in person and no hands raised on Zoom, may I please have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. With that, we have our adjournment. The time is now 8:55 PM. May I please have a motion to adjourn our regular session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next regular township committee meeting will be held a week early next month, Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 7 PM in person and on Zoom. Our closed session will begin at 5 PM. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, everyone. Have a great evening.